Hey everybody, Mac here, and it's Comic Book Wednesday, and we are taking a look at something very special today. At least, special to me. Before we take a look at this figure, let's take a look at this. The Mighty Thor 126. This is one of the crowns of my collection. For those of you that don't know what the importance is, this is actually the first issue of any comic titled The Mighty Thor. This is technically the first issue of The Mighty Thor. Thor had previously appeared in a book called Journey into Mystery. I think it started with Journey into Mystery issue 88, I think was his first appearance. And Journey into Mystery was sort of, I believe, an anthology series that you had like different showcased heroes every month. And Thor just became so popular, he became a mainstay, that issue 125 was the last issue of Journey into Mystery. Issue 126 became The Mighty Thor. So this is, like I said, technically the very first issue of The Mighty Thor. Now, you can see it's not graded. There's fading around the cover. You can see there's a crease right down the middle of the cover. But I will be completely honest, none of that matters to me. I just love having this issue. Look at that, 12 cents. 12 cents cover price. Imagine a time, if you can. Thor, I haven't talked about much. Thor was one of my first comic fandoms. Probably one of the earliest. And this Thor right here, this version of Thor, I loved. I am not a fan of what they're doing with him now. It's just not the same character to me. I get that there are people that like him. I get that there are people that like the direction that the book is going and what they're doing with him. And I'm happy that they can enjoy it. I'm happy they like it. But for me, that's not Thor. That's not the Thor that I knew. He's not like this. This for me, obviously, is classic Thor. It was written by Stan Lee himself. It was penciled by Jack Kirby, two legends in the industry, and I love this book so much. So what I am doing is, you can see I have a Marvel Legends figure here, and longtime viewers of the show know I don't really collect a lot of Marvel Legends figures unless it's something that I can use to bolster another collection, like when I got the 80th anniversary of Captain America. One, that figure was just really cool, and two, I'm going to fit him in with my G.I. Joe collection. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bunch of Thor-themed figures, and I have a few already that we'll be taking a look at one at a time, and I'm going to build a display around this comic on the stand. So I'll have Loki, I'll have Thor, obviously, which the Thor I want for this I don't have yet, but I'll be getting it, and as soon as I get it, we'll take a look at it. I have Beta Ray Bill. I might get Thunderstrike. I don't know. We'll see about that. And I have a few others that I'll just be able to like populate this little display diorama set up basically around this comic, because I am so happy I have this. I recently got this like within the past year. I was able to get my hands on it, and I'm just in love with this. When I took it out of the bag and I flipped through it and I was reading it myself, it's printed on old pulp paper. It has like that old comic book smell. Like, it's such a tactile experience reading this. It was great. I need a Hercules, and I don't know of any good Hercules figure yet. Hopefully Marvel might be coming out with a Hercules figure soon, because I would need a Hercules to finish this off. So, with that out of the way, let's get to the first one that we'll be looking at, which is the Marvel Legends Loki that came out not too long ago. You can see our box is the standard window box for Marvel Legends, black all around with the wraparound window up front. You can see Loki, his accessory, and his Build-A-Figure piece in there. I love that Loki is spelled in the old font, just like Thor over here is spelled in the old font. On the side, we have an image of Loki. On the back, we have that image expanded upon. A devilish trickster, Loki uses whatever means necessary to give himself power and has little regard for what side of so-called justice he stands on. You can see our cross-cell on the bottom with all of the other figures that came in this wave, and it's a Build-A-Hulk Here we have that image again. Up top we have the symbol of Loki, the helmet with the horns. This is obviously not the MCU Loki. This is not Tom Hiddleston. This is like the classic comic Loki, which is actually what gave me the idea to do the setup based around this, because I saw this, it was the classic Loki, and I was like, ooh, idea, and he was actually the first piece that I bought, and like I said, I have a few others to go along with this. So, I'm going to stop rambling now, and if you give me a minute, we will pop this open, and we will take a look at Marvel Legends Loki. Okay, friends, here he is, Loki, out of the box, and the first thing that you can see is he is a very bare-bones figure. What you see is what you get, and I'm perfectly fine with that, because that's pretty much how Loki in this form should be. You can see his body is predominantly green. He has the gold scale mail armor that he wore in the original comics, his gold belt, his collar. One thing that I love is that his helmet, his gloves here, his boots, this is all sort of like a, on his neck piece right here, this is all sort of like a yellow pearlescent. So I don't know how well it's coming across on the camera, but in the lights in person, this really shines, it really reflects the light, it really looks fantastic and bright and bold and a little bit gaudy, which is exactly what Loki is. Bright, bold, and a little bit gaudy. A few things about the sculpt on him, though, and it's, first of all, we're going to take a look at the head sculpt, that I do like the face sculpt of him. I think it's manic, I think it's wild, I think it looks great. One thing you can see on Loki here, and it's a little disappointing, but it's not like a big deal breaker for me, is that you can see the paint job on his eyes is a little bit off. He has one that's looking straight ahead, and he has one that's kind of looking off to the right a little bit. It would have just been nice to be able to get those eyes focused straight ahead together. And second, the ponytail always just stays out to the side. It's not on a swivel, so it's always in that perpetual wind-blown state. You can't, like, turn it so the ponytail just comes down. But with that out of the way, other than that, I really like this figure. I really appreciate the simplicity of it, that they didn't try to do too much. They were like, this is Loki, this is what he is, let's go with it. So, with that in mind, the first thing we're going to do, well, not the first thing, but the next thing we're going to do, is we're going to put the tape measure to him and see how Loki stacks up. At the top of his head, he's about 6.5 inches. At the top of his horn, he's a little over 7 inches. So he's got some height to him. Head, 6.5, horns, 7. Now we take a look at articulation. As you saw, the head is on a standard ball joint for Hasbro, so he does have a full 360 spin. Very easy, nothing getting in the way. He can look up, he can look down. He does have that double jointed neck, so that he can get some funky looking head poses. Arms do come out to the sides. They don't come up all the way. That's about where they stop. Has the full 360 rotation. There is no butterfly joint in the shoulder. Has a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows with decent amount of travel. Not the whole way, but decent amount. Wrist swivel and pivot. In and out. Because he has a sword, I would have preferred they go up and down, but he does have the pivot in and out. You can probably see in the sculpt that he does have an ab crunch. Forward and back. Waist swivel. Now, one thing about the waist swivel is that the way that his belt is just held on by pressure right here. That if the belt can start sliding down off the waist, so just be aware of that when you're turning him so it doesn't get caught or start to rub. His legs does not do the full splits. That's all the further he can go out. And they don't like drop out of the socket like some of them do. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knee, boot cut, tight ankle rock, and swivel side to side. So he has all of, swivel side to side there. He has all of the basic articulation you expect from a Hasbro figure. Now he comes with one accessory. Let me stand him up here. I would have liked him to possibly come with an additional head. I don't know of what, but just that he had so many looks, it would have been cool. Oh. There we go. He comes with this sword, and I like this sword. I like this sword a lot. I like that it's just gold and green, just like Loki. It matches him. Truthfully, I can't remember what his sword looked like in this era of Marvel. I think it looked something like this. I'm just going to say that it looked something like this because I can't see that if they spent that much time on the figure, I can't see that they would deviate too far from his weapon. So, his hands are very easy to open up because of that pearlescent plastic. It's a little softer than the standard plastic, and it just fits right in there. And there you go. So like I said, Loki is a fairly basic figure. There's not a whole lot to dissect about him. He has a great paint app. He has a great face sculpt. Like I said, let's bring this forward a little bit more. I love this manic look in his eyes. I love the green eyes. I love how Loki in Norse mythology was not necessarily evil. He was just a trickster. Loki in Marvel is absolutely evil at this era in his existence. He was totally the main villain for Thor. He was right up there with the likes of Doctor Doom and Red Skull, and he was great. They've kind of toned him down over the years, partially because they wanted to make him, I think, a little bit more of a complex character, partially because of his popularity in the MCU. But in all seriousness, I think this is great. I think this is a great figure. I think this is a great addition to anybody's Thor collection. And he is just the start of some of the ones that I have to build up a diorama or build up a little display around issue 126 here. So, with that in mind, until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.